It was late afternoon when Daniel, a weary single father, hurried through the crowded supermarket with his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, tugging at his sleeve. His life had been a storm ever since his wife passed away 2 years ago. He worked 2 jobs, barely made rent, and most nights collapsed into bed too tired even to eat. His world had shrunk to survival, keeping Lily fed, clothed, and safe. That day, all he wanted was to buy a few discounted groceries and get home before Lily's bedtime. But life has a strange way of placing us exactly where we need to be, even when we think we are too broken to help anyone else. As they turned into an aisle, Daniel noticed a girl no older than 17 standing rigid near the frozen foods section. She wore a school uniform, her hands trembling as she tried to pull her skirt lower, her eyes darting left and right. A couple of boys nearby were laughing, pointing, pulling out their phones, as if preparing to record something cruel. Daniel froze. He recognized that kind of pain. Not the embarrassment of clothing or teasing, but the deeper kind of look of someone carrying a weight too heavy for her age. Suddenly, the girl whispered, her voice so faint Daniel almost didn't hear it. "Please don't lift my skirt." The boys snickered louder, circling her like vultures. But Daniel saw something they didn't, the way her hands clutched at the hem, not out of vanity, but desperation. His heart pounded. He could have walked away, he could have told himself it wasn't his problem. But Lily's small fingers slipped into his hand, and when he looked down at his daughter's wide, innocent eyes, he knew he couldn't stay silent. Daniel stepped forward, his voice steady enough. "Leave her alone." The boys hesitated, rolling their eyes, muttering insults, but something about Daniel's presence, his height, his firm tone, and perhaps the little girl standing at his side made them retreat. They left with smirks, but the threat was gone. Daniel turned back to the girl. She was shaking, eyes glassy with unshed tears. And then, slowly, with trembling hands, she whispered again, "Please don't lift my skirt." Confused, Daniel knelt down to her level, his voice softer now. "I won't. But can you tell me why?" And that's when the truth unraveled. Through sobs, she confessed that she'd been hiding bruises beneath her clothes, marks not from schoolyard bullies, but from home. Her stepfather had been hurting her, and she wore long skirts, even in the heat, to keep anyone from noticing. Today, when the boys tried to expose her, she feared the world would finally see her secret shame. Daniel's chest ached. He remembered the helplessness he'd felt when his wife was sick, how powerless he was to stop life from unraveling. He remembered begging the universe for anyone to help him, and here, in front of him, was a child begging for the same thing. He looked into her tear-filled eyes, and made a silent vow. "Don't worry," he whispered. "No one is going to hurt you again." That night, Daniel made calls. Difficult, complicated calls to child protection services, to the authorities. He stayed with the girl until help arrived, letting her know she wasn't alone. He offered her the first safe space she'd felt in years, introducing her gently to Lily, who offered a simple pure act of kindness, a hug. The process wasn't easy. There were reports to file, officials to meet, court hearings to attend. But Daniel never left her side. Slowly, she began to trust again. Slowly, she began to smile. And months later, something remarkable happened. The girl, now living with a foster family who adored her, came back to visit Daniel and Lily. She wore a bright summer dress, not long, not heavy, not hiding anything. She stood tall, scars still present but healing, her eyes brighter than before. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice stronger this time. "If you hadn't cared, I don't know if I'd still be here." Daniel swallowed hard, emotions flooding through him. In helping her, he had discovered something he thought he'd lost forever, a purpose beyond his own survival. His daughter squeezed his hand, and smiled up at him, proud of her father. And Daniel realized that sometimes life changes not when we are rescued, but when we become the rescuer. Because kindness doesn't just heal others. It heals us too. And so the man who once felt broken, the single dad who thought he had nothing left to give, discovered that his greatest gift was not strength, not money, not even time, but the simple act of showing up when someone begged not to be seen. So if you ever feel like you're too small, too tired, too lost to make a difference, remember Daniel. Remember the girl. And remember that one act of courage, one moment of kindness, can change a life forever. And if this story touched you, don't forget to subscribe, because somewhere out there, another story of kindness is waiting to be told.